I like the idea that a voice can just go somewhere uninvited, like a dirty thought in a nice clean mind.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your boy Jay. This is the Liberal Lens, and we are coming to you from Planet Politics News. So make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification button, follow on Instagram, follow on Facebook, because we're out here doing big things with a lot more to come. I promised you more content, and I'm keeping up on that promise. And like I said, we got a lot of people who are going to come through and contribute in the near future. So just make sure you hit that notification so you don't miss out on anything. All right, let's talk about the wild ruling that came down from the Supreme Court about the SNAP benefits. Because everybody knows right now that the Trump administration is holding back SNAP benefits from the American people so that they can use SNAP benefits as a tool to fight against taking your health care. So what they're really saying is, we're going to starve you until you accept us taking your health care away. That's what this administration's at. But they have been saying over and over that it's illegal. It's illegal. We can't give out those emergency funds that were put up for an emergency, and we're in a SNAP emergency. Okay, but we'll in a second listen to Mike Johnson talk about how he says it's illegal to release these SNAP funds. But let's not forget, not that long ago, just a couple of days ago, Circuit Court ordered Trump administration to disperse the SNAP funds, and not only the partial that emergency fund would cover, but they ordered them to cover all of the SNAP benefits by yesterday. And that hadn't happened. So the Trump administration appealed it. The appeals court said, we're not going to put a pause to this, but we'll have a hearing and we'll decide on the case very quickly. The Trump administration did not like that, so they ran to the Supreme Court. Before we get into more of that, let's listen to Mike Johnson talk about his bullshit on why the Republicans won't release the emergency SNAP money.
Has worked, as you all know, very creatively and very hard to limit the pain on the Americans because of the Democrats' shutdown. And the SNAP benefits is a unique situation. I got a summary of the whole legal analysis, and it certainly looks legitimate to me. The contingency funds are not legally available to cover the benefits right now. The reason is because it's a finite source of funds. It was appropriated by Congress, and if they transfer funds from these other sources, it pulls it away immediately from school meals and infant formula. So it's a trade-off.
It's an absurd ruling because you have a federal judge.
So before we get into JD's comments on that, let's first dissect some of the stuff that Speaker Johnson said, because it is complete bullshit. That is not taking away money from school children and WIC programs. WIC is fully funded. That is not part of the emergency funding. They figured out a way to do that, but they figured out a way to pay the military, but now they're saying they don't have a way to feed the people with this emergency fund. Don't let them lie to you and say that money is going somewhere else, because it is absolutely not going somewhere else. They are just weaponizing the emergency money for SNAP and to use against you for your health care. But let's listen to the wild shit JD Vance says, because it goes against what Mike Johnson just said, who said, we really want to give this money to the American people. We really want to pay SNAP benefits. We really want to, but we're bound by law that we can't. And then a circuit court comes in and rules them to release the funds right away. And instead of the Trump administration going, thank you, you gave us a legal way to feed people like we talked about. We really wanted to feed the people, but it was illegal. We did not want to break the law. Yeah, let's hear the Trump administration say they didn't want to break the law. And that's what their argument was. But now that a judge ordered it as illegal not to release the funds, then they run to the Supreme Court to not feed the most vulnerable people in our country, which the majority of people on the SNAP program are elderly and children. So that is the people that our government wants to starve, is elderly and children. And let's not forget that over 70% of people on the SNAP program are full-time and are employed full-time. So all of this freeloader shit is so bullshit, but all you're doing is subsidizing Walmart and all of these big companies who don't pay a living wage. So the American taxpayer has to pick that up to support the people who cannot afford to survive on a full-time job. You can't tell me that the Walton family can't pay a living wage. They choose not to because they care about record profits. That's why they own NFL teams, multiple teams. Washington and LA Rams are both owned by people in the Walton family. So think about that. And that is the top of the billionaires club. But what they're saying is that it's freeloaders taking SNAP, but even though we have huge corporations not paying their full-time employees enough to live without government assistance. And I have people go, you really want your tax dollars to go to feed people? Yes. Fuck yes, I do. I'd rather have it that than go to some fucking oil company or some other huge corporation. We pay 10 to 20 times more in taxes to corporate welfare than we do to take care of the average American. The average American pays $36 a month or a year in taxes for the SNAP program. That's $3 a month. And yes, the people on SNAP pay that too. So think about that. It's $3 a month you guys are crying about, but don't have a problem with $4,000 to $10,000 of your money going to corporate welfare every year. But okay, before I get even more sidetracked, and let's just focus on, so like we were talking about, Mike Johnson is saying they want to pay the SNAP benefits. It's just illegal and they can't do it. The court gives them a way to do it, making it legal for them to pay it because the court ruled that they had to pay it, that they couldn't withhold it. Then they run to the Supreme Court, and here's J.D. Vance's response to that.
Ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown, which what we'd like to do is
They need to stop calling a Democratic shutdown. The people proved during the blue wave on Tuesday that they know who's causing this shutdown.
for the Democrats to open up the government. Of course, then we can fund SNAP, and we can also do a lot of other good things for the American people. But in the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation. We're trying to keep as much turned on. We're trying to keep as much going as possible. The president and the entire administration are working on that. But we're not going to do it under the orders of a federal judge. We're going to do it according to what we think we have to do to comply with the law, of course, but also to actually make the government work for people in the midst of the Democrat government shutdown.
Complaining.
So, did you literally catch what J.D. Vance was saying? He said, we're not going to let a judge tell us what to do. This is what the Trump administration has been doing the whole time, defying court orders, defying judges, making the court system struggle to keep going, to deal with all the shit that they're throwing at the wall. They can't process this fast enough. And the court is not set up for the president of the United States to disregard lawful orders that are ruled down by a court. But J.D. Vance right there just told you we are not going to let a judge or the court, the federal court, tell them what to do. So we went from, we want to pay out food stamps, we want to feed the hungry and the most vulnerable in this country, but it's illegal, to here is a legal way to process that money and get it out to people, to no, we're not doing that. We're running to the Supreme Court because we don't want to feed people legally. So the court tells you you can do it, and you kept saying you wanted to feed people, but it was illegal. Now that you can feed people, you appeal the decision to the Supreme Court because you don't want to feed people. That's exactly what's going on. Don't let them talk out of both sides of their mouth. These motherfuckers will say anything because they believe the American people are dumb. They literally believe the American people are stupid. That's why Trump himself said, intelligent people don't like me. And if you remember back in his last campaign, he said, I love the uneducated. All right, now let's listen to what happened with the Supreme Court ruling, because it's not as dire right now as it sounds, but it's still not good.
English. What does this ruling actually mean for people who depend on these benefits?
It means there is a very temporary pause on the district court judge's ruling that the program needed to be fully funded today. What we have is, as you said, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's the Supreme Court justice in charge of this circuit, saying we need to give the Court of Appeals a moment to make a decision on this appeal to that First Circuit. So what we had this morning is a district court judge saying to the Trump administration, basically, I think you're dragging your feet. Fund the program fully now. Fund it today. Don't wait anymore. The Trump administration then went to the First Circuit and appealed that decision. The First Circuit refused to pause that decision and basically said, we need a minute. We're going to decide quickly. The Trump administration then went to the Supreme Court tonight and said, we need at least an administrative stay, the most temporary of pauses. And Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson agreed. And so now a lot of people are in limbo.
So what's the actual timing when a real decision could be made?
So it's an estimate at this point. The First Circuit said we're going to move really quickly. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said you need to move really quickly. I think we're looking at not tonight, but I really think we could get something potentially within the next few days. We're not looking at weeks here. We're not looking at months. Everybody understands what we're talking about. We're talking about 1 in 8 Americans being able to have any or full SNAP benefit.
All right, so think about that. They literally ran to the Supreme Court because they don't want to feed the most vulnerable people, because they want to use it as a weapon against the Democrats to try to vote, to force them to vote to take our health care away. And the Democrats need to stand on this. I don't care if the government shutdown lasts until the next presidential election. Fuck that. Americans need their health care. Don't give in. Don't give up this fight. It is sad that they are using SNAP benefits. It is sad that they are trying to starve the most vulnerable people in this country. If you want to help, get a hold of your local food bank. See if they want donations or cash or what. But get out there, donate your time, your money, whatever it takes to make sure that the most vulnerable people in our society get fed. This whole thing is crazy. See, this is the bullshit they want to keep telling us, though. We want to do it, but we can't. It's illegal. Oh, the courts ruled that we can't. Well, we don't want to feed people. Let's run to the Supreme Court and do the exact opposite about what we've been telling the American people. And then you've got J.D. Vance up there just admitting that they're not going to listen to judges. They don't give a fuck what court findings are. This is the fascism we've been talking about, and people think it's over the top hyperbole. They think it's rhetoric and propaganda. No, they're literally fascists. And nobody seems to care on that side. Like, MAGA cannot get through this through their head. Like, they are so brainwashed. So that's what I've always been saying. We're not going to get through to MAGA. They're always going to support Trump. They're going to do whatever they can for Trump. They will literally hurt themselves to just back their cult leader. What we need to do is get the moderates, the independents, and the people who just bought into the lies, who aren't full-blooded MAGA, who just wanted the economy to change. And we could argue that they went the wrong way with doing it and they didn't see what was going on with the economy. That's all fair and that's all true. But those are the people we can get back on our side, that we can get to see the corruption that's going on and help get rid of this administration. I really hope when this is all said and done, we're really having trials and we're hearing the same things we heard after World War II, where they're saying taking orders isn't a good enough reason to violate human rights. I really hope that's what we see. I hope people get held accountable. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, they need to be held accountable. Caroline Leavitt, she needs to be held accountable. We need Trump to be held accountable, but that won't happen because of all the protections that they seem to be giving the president, which is completely wild to me because not one person is supposed to be above the law. And there's supposed to be checks and balances, which are Republican Congress and Senate refuse to do. They're all too scared of Trump. They're all too afraid of getting primaried and not winning re-election, not getting his endorsement, which I don't understand because in most places, Trump's endorsement has been hurting the candidate. But all right, guys, drop in the comments. Tell us what you think. Tell me how you feel about what the Supreme Court did. Tell me how you feel about the SNAP benefits. Even if you're one of those low down dirty fucks who think people should starve, put that in the comments too, because nothing drives the algorithm like those negative comments. And I appreciate you watching, even if you hate me. I really appreciate it. Seriously. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep tuning in. Please hit the like and subscribe. Please do it on Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube. Help us support the channel. Help us grow. Get the message out. All right, guys. One world, one love. Deuces.
Everything's polluted. The environment, the government, the schools, you name it.
This radio person is the whole problem. Are we going to allow this guy to be heard by anyone who can turn a dial?
You out there? You listening?